Hey guys, Alex coming at you here from Southern California. Just doing a contest entry for Jeff over at channel jgyokohama. I'll leave a link. He's doing a push 200 subs. Definitely deserves a lot more. Just really like his channel. He shows a very wide variety of different things, and not just records, but also CDs and cassettes. Yeah, I think Jeff just seems like a guy with really open ears, willing to try anything if it looks interesting. So anyway, his prompts are, well, the first one anyway, is not for everyone, right? And so it's music that might be a little bit challenging, perhaps, I think is the main idea. It's certainly one of the running themes, I think, in my collecting and kind of where I'm at with my musical taste is really try to find things that challenge me and that I find expansive in some respect. So yeah, the first one I'm going to show here is this Italian guy, Walter Marchetti. It's called La Caccia. It's the name of the album. Marchetti is an Italian sort of music concrete pioneer, and there he is recording this album, which, as you can kind of hear now in this one I'm playing, he's got a series of duck calls primarily. I don't know if any of these are modified or any that he built himself exactly, and the liner notes are all in Italian, which I could kind of struggle through, but not very easily. So this is pretty much the whole record is him sort of experimenting with these different duck calls and found objects, and yeah, very, very interesting. This is on the awesome Cramps label out of Italy. Pretty cool stuff. Definitely not for everyone, but pretty cool. Next. We got Aaron Dillaway. Aaron Dillaway is the American experimental tape. Primarily his medium is tape manipulation and music concrete, as well. Noise. He was a founding member, I think, of the band Wolf Eyes from back in the day. I think they're still active. But yeah, that's his name, Aaron Dillaway. This is called Modern Jester. This is from like 2012, I think. Yeah, 2012 on, I think it's his own imprint, Hanson Labels, out of Oberlin, Ohio. I actually saw him live one time in Chicago, and unlike a lot of modern electronic artists or just electronic artists in general, he was not a guy just controlling electronics, with little knobs and stuff like that. This guy, there's a real physicality to what he does. He's physically manipulating the tape and the tape heads with his own hands to get distortions and all kinds of different effects. But yeah, I mean, so for that reason, every performance and every recording is a little bit different, right? Because he's dealing with tapes that he finds or that he pre-records, and then it's physically manipulating them during the performance. And then when I saw him, he also had like a metal sheet, of course amplified, that he was using as a sort of a percussive element as well. This might be I think it's one of my favorite of his. It's a double LP. A lot of the stuff that he does is either on cassette, CD, or shorter EPs. But yeah, there's a full length, and I also love the love the aesthetic, and I know I've heard him talk about the importance that he has on the aesthetic of anything that he puts out, and he loves, any kind of sort of, gory or shocking imagery, and it fits well with. Yeah, here you can kind of hear. It's almost like like a railroad train tape that he's manipulating here. Yeah, highly recommend this. And Jeff, you would like this guy. So next, we go to one of the great women of the avant-garde movement. It's hard to see here, but it's Meredith Monk's Key. I think from like 1970s. I think this is a 77 reissue on the Lovely Music label, I think originally from 72 or so. So this album, her album Key, and it was her solo debut. Meredith Monk, like I said, a New York artist, very influential. Only sort of started to really dig into her work recently, but her main thing is, well, in addition to being a musician, she's also a performance artist. So there's definitely a performative element to her work that maybe doesn't translate as well on record, but at least not on every track. But her instrument is her voice, and so these are very minimal pieces, and you can tell that she's not using her voice in any traditional way. She's really pushing the boundary of her own instrument, which is her voice. Some of it is definitely more disturbing. Sometimes she uses more her mouth to create different noises. Sometimes it's more guttural. Sometimes it's more primal, like here, and sometimes it's just absolutely beautiful, otherworldly. Sometimes her voice can very much sound like an unknown, more melodic instrument. And yeah, like I said, just her voice, and then some accompaniment from Coleman Walcott, who she recorded with on several things. So yeah, easy to find. Highly recommend this for you guys that are interested in sort of voice experimental music. The next prompt was about your most trashed record. I wouldn't quite call this trash, but yeah, it's certainly, if it wasn't such a rare record, it could certainly, it would be hard to buy something like this, with some of the surface marks. It's pretty hard to see, but yeah, definitely there's a ton of surface marks and a few ones that are feelable. Yeah, you can kind of see it there, but basically Coltrane's only privately pressed record that was put out posthumously by his wife Alice. In fact, I think half the compositions are Alice Coltrane's and the other half are John's. So a very collaborative. In fact, really their only proper collaboration in a way. But yeah, privately pressed and put out by Alice, and then later, fairly quickly was picked up by Impulse and put out with a different cover. But yeah, definitely a bit rough condition. It plays pretty good though. I gotta say it's an enjoyable listen. The next was about a record with kind of interesting artwork. So this is a French group called Alessia Cosmos, and this is on the Hat Hut. The Art Hat label out of Switzerland. They come in these sort of like mini pizza box like sleeves that open up in a gatefold. Of course, the photography is just outstanding, just really odd. This is a sort of a experimental band. It's from 1985, so it's a little bit too late for some of the rock in opposition bands were kind of done by then, but they certainly have some of that sound to some degree, but also some more modern kind of forward thinking things going on. But yeah, the artwork is pretty hilarious. These guys are certainly having a lot of fun here, and there's a nice portrait here with the gator, and then like I said, this kind of opens up, and then the record is just kind of housed on the inside. And I believe the original actually had this record actually had a poster with it as well, which unfortunately I don't have. I would love to see what that looks like. All right, next I'm gonna the next prompt was sort of about favorite finds, in the wild kind of a thing. There's too many records to consider, but what is your best find of all time? It's a bit tough, so I decided to go with just kind of my favorite finds, wild finds from this year. So this is one by the Mexican artist Evelyn Macari. Sorry, that was the back cover. That's the front. Fantastic cover. It's called Glaciares or Glaciers. It's from the early 80s. And so Evelyn is a guitar player, sort of in the classical, nylon string style, but also deeply rooted in sort of Mexican folk music. But then, as you can hear here, and why I was really excited to find this record, is he mixes a lot of electronic elements here, playing the synthesizer with some nice, washes and layers of sound. It almost has a little bit of a John Carpenter type feel kind of thing. But yeah, it's a really interesting album. It has these interludes that kind of sound like this, and then in between there's some really beautiful sparse acoustic guitar and his very unique style. So yeah, so I found this locally here in Pomona. It's like a modular synth shop that is here in Pomona, California, and I guess they sell records. They don't really publicize it, but the owner does have some records for sale if you go in there. And so they just have a big old wall of very excellent electronic records, and this was one of them, so I grabbed that. Very hard to find outside of Mexico, really. And then finally we have the only really kind of really interesting record that I've ever found at a Goodwill, and I found this just a couple of months ago at a local Goodwill. I couldn't believe that there was a Turkish record, the dollar, Goodwill bin there. And not only that, this is in so this is like a German label that put out Turkish music, in the 70s, called Turkula. And if you notice that, I think the Finders Keepers guys, pretty much stole that logo for their own label, which I didn't realize until I had this in my hands. So it's actually like a German reissue of a Turkish record by this artist by the name of Behiye Aksoy. Not sure how badly I'm butchering that. So she was an actress and a singer, sort of in the classical, traditional Turkish vein. And so, I wasn't sure what this is gonna sound like. Certainly the cover is very interesting and the label very attractive. But when I put this on, it's pretty blown away. It just has a very distinct beautiful tone, very emotive. And then just a little bit of backing percussion, and I think there's some zazz, I think, also in the background. But killer stuff. All right, well, I'll leave it at that. Jeff, congrats. It looks like you're already at 200 subs. Hope you get a whole lot more. We'll see you guys soon.